Microsoft Excel has a pretty cool function called a repeat function, and we can use this function to visually display numbers in a graphical way within the cell, and these can react to whatever variables alter within a specific table. So in this series of videos, what I want to do is run through the basic function, the basic repeat function I should say, then show you how you would apply that in some sort of dashboard, and then we'll look at a couple of other different options in the final video. So to get us started, first of all, if we're setting up a repeat function, the repeat function looks like what you see in cell C16. It's where you type in equals REPT and then you put in your function, which is effectively you tell it what you want it to repeat, and then you tell it how many times you want it to repeat. And the way it works is quite simply this. In cell C18, I'm going to type in equals, then I'll type in the REPT function command. I'll open the brackets where I'm going to input the information that relates to what I want repeated. So in this case, I want to repeat X, so I would type exclamation mark X, quotation mark I should say, either side of an X. I put a comma, and then I type in the number of times I want it to repeat. So if I want it to show 10 times, I type the number 10, hit the close bracket, and then simply hit return. And you'll see that X will repeat the number of times that we've typed in that cell. Now, I can do the same with a capital I, and a capital I kind of looks like a vertical bar, and it's a kind of useful way to represent data. You'll see when we do the visual display of that numbers up in the table above. But all I simply do is I type in same thing, except within the quotation marks I'm going to type the capital I, I'm going to hit my comma button, then I'm going to type in the number of times I want it to repeat. I want it to show 30 times, type in 30, close the bracket, and then hit return. And now I've got capital I repeated 30 times. Okay. What if I wanted to reference a cell and have the cell be the command around how many times you want this, whatever text you've got in here, to repeat? So in this case, I want it to repeat whatever's shown, the number of times that is shown in D22. So all I will do is simply type in my repeat function again. I'll open the bracket, and I want the capital I. In fact, I'll put in a different one. I'll put in a small O. So I'll put in my quotation mark, small 0, quotation mark, not exclamation mark, quotation mark. Then I will simply put in the cell reference D22, and it's going to repeat whatever number of times appears in that cell, and I hit return. So I've got 7 O's in the cell. If I change that to 10, then the number of zeros up here, O's in that cell, alter. If I type 12, it alters. If I type 2, it alters. And it responds according to whatever I put in there. Okay, one last thing I want to cover in this basics of the repeat function is, what if I want it to repeat to appear longer than what I've got in a cell, or shorter? Then the way I do that is quite simple. I simply type in equals REPT, so I get my function set up. I want my capital I to appear, and I want it to appear the number of times it appears in D24. But because it's a fairly small number in a large cell, I'm going to increase the size of it proportionally. So all I simply do is multiply it by a value. So I can multiply it by 3 in this case, and then close out with the close bracket and hit return. So whatever I have in here, right, it's going to appear 3 times as many times as is in there. So if I put 2, we see 6 bars. If I put 6, we see 18 bars. Now, we can do the opposite of this as well. So if we've got a big number, so for example, let's actually type 200 in here. So in D25, I want it to repeat or show the number of times that appears in D25, but that's not going to fit in the cell, so I need to proportionally shrink it if I'm going to do this across multiple cells. And all I would simply do is type in my repeat function, open bracket, I want capital I to repeat, and it needs to be the number of times it appears in D25, but I need to proportionally reduce that. So I'm going to make it 1/10 of what's in there. So I'd simply multiply by 0.1, close out the bracket, And then what you'll see is if it says 200 in here, then it will show 20 times in cell C25. If I change that to 150, then it'll only show 15 times. So you'll find that pretty useful when we're creating our dashboard up the top. So I'll see you in the next video.